mean, Lego, and that's what this is about. She's landed a Lego sponsorship. I mean, Lego may as well just taken that money and just lit it on fire. Just light it aflame. Because Paige Bueckers not drawing anybody to buy Legos except for a very, 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 very small portion of bad.
The tension crackled not from a buzzer-beating three-pointer, but from a corporate press release. In January 2025, Lego announced a sponsorship deal with Paige Bueckers, the #1 overall draft pick to the Dallas Wings. The announcement was heralded by certain media channels as evidence of Bueckers' unprecedented off-court impact. Yet, the reaction from a significant portion of the sports world was one of profound, head-scratching bewilderment. A viral clip captured the essence of the skepticism. Lego may as well have just taken that money and lit it on fire. Paige Bueckers is not drawing anybody to buy Legos except for a very, very, very small portion of basketball fans. That visceral dismissal, harsh as it was, served as a lightning rod for a far deeper and more consequential conflict simmering within the WNBA and the broader sports marketing landscape. It represented the moment when two fundamentally opposed philosophies of star creation, one organic and market-driven, the other constructed and agenda-driven, collided in public view. On one side of this ideological chasm stood Caitlin Clark, a force of nature whose arrival had irrevocably changed the league's financial trajectory through sheer, undeniable gravitational pull. On the other stood Paige Bueckers, a supremely talented player whose corporate partnerships and media framing seemed to be attempting to construct a parallel reality, one where market metrics could be overridden by narrative. This wasn't merely a debate about two talented athletes. This was a proxy war for the soul of the league's future. Would the WNBA's growth be powered by the raw, often chaotic, but undeniably potent engine of fan-driven popularity? Or would it be steered by a top-down institutional vision that prioritized specific narratives and identity markers, attempting to anoint stars whose commercial appeal might not yet match their basketball pedigree? The Lego deal became the perfect symbol of this tension, a corporate investment that appeared to many as a value statement rather than a growth strategy, an attempt to manufacture a commercial aura that the market, thus far, had not naturally bestowed. The battle lines were drawn by language. Headlines and feature pieces in the wake of Bueckers' Lego, CarMax, and Fanatics deals leaned heavily on a specific adjective: unprecedented. She was making an unprecedented off-court impact for a WNBA player. This framing demanded immediate scrutiny, for in the world of sports business, unprecedented is a quantitative term, not a qualitative one. It implies a breaking of records, a shattering of ceilings, a commercial footprint never before seen. And by that objective measure, the claim collapsed upon contact with reality. Just 1 year prior, Caitlin Clark had entered the league with an 8-year, $28 million signature deal with Nike, the richest in WNBA history, before dribbling.
Bueckers is making an unprecedented off-court impact on the WNBA. Really? Paige Bueckers, already one of the most hyped and highly anticipated players in the WNBA years before she was actually drafted #1 overall in the 2025 draft. Bueckers' skills on the court are undeniable. Her potential to continue to grow is vast. My goodness. Okay. But Bueckers has been making off-the-court moves that are unprecedented for a WNBA.
A single professional minute. Her portfolio swiftly expanded to include State Farm, Gatorade, Wilson, Xfinity, and others, with the total value of her endorsement ecosystem reportedly nearing $50 million. The From Anywhere Nike campaign became a cultural moment, generating tens of millions of views. Clark's commercial impact wasn't just unprecedented for the WNBA. It was unprecedented for any women's team sport athlete at the dawn of her career. So, what constituted Bueckers' unprecedented impact? The term seemed to be applied not to scale, but to category the novelty of a player like Bueckers securing such deals for herself. This semantic sleight of hand was the first clue that a different set of criteria was being employed. It signaled a shift from evaluating market performance to validating a specific archetype, The narrative wasn't, Bueckers is outperforming commercial expectations. It was, Bueckers represents something new and valuable, worthy of corporate investment. This distinction between market validation and narrative validation lies at the very heart of the conflict. If corporate press releases could be spun, cold, hard data remained stubbornly objective. The divergence between narrative and reality was nowhere more apparent than in the most basic metrics of sports popularity: butts in seats and eyes on screens. In her rookie season with the Dallas Wings, Paige Bueckers played in an arena averaging 7,273 fans per game, a respectable figure by pre-Clark WNBA standards, but one that reflected the league's historical baseline, not a revolutionary shift. Contrast this with the Caitlin Clark effect. The Indiana Fever were forced to move multiple home games to larger venues, including the 20,000-seat Gainbridge Fieldhouse, to accommodate demand. More tellingly, Fever road games became the hottest ticket in sports, routinely selling out opposing arenas and forcing teams like the Las Vegas Aces and Seattle Storm to relocate games to NBA-sized facilities. Clark didn't just draw, she displaced, her presence rewriting the logistical playbook for the entire league. The television ratings painted an even starker picture. When the Dallas Wings faced the Indiana Fever on national television, the game drew an impressive 2.1 million viewers. Pro Bueckers narratives pointed to this as evidence of her drawing power. However, this was a classic case of confusing correlation with causation. The Wings games without Caitlin Clark on the opposing bench averaged 1.114 million viewers, a staggering 46% drop. The audience wasn't tuning in for Dallas or Bueckers. They were tuning in for Clark. The Paige Bueckers audience was a statistical phantom. What existed was the massive Caitlin Clark audience, of which Bueckers was sometimes a participant. This 1.114 million figure was then spun by some outlets as strong local and regional interest. But in the ruthless calculus of national sports broadcasting, a near 50% audience hemorrhage, when one player isn't involved, isn't strong interest, it's a dependency. It revealed Bueckers, for all her talent, was not a national ratings.
Stop right there. That's a lie. Unprecedented to who? You've seen how many sponsorships Caitlin Clark's got? Did you see that Nike ad? From anywhere? Last I checked, 50 million views. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. In fact, I don't know that I can handle much more of this BS. The marketability that has continued to be a major factor in Bueckers' professional career as well is, of course, her UConn ties up there. Announced several partners.
Driver. She was a compelling character in someone else's blockbuster show. To understand why Paige Bueckers became the focus of this specific type of corporate and institutional push, one must look beyond the basketball court. Her profile presents a confluence of attributes that make her uniquely attractive to modern corporate marketing departments and league offices invested in a particular vision of representation. First, and perhaps most significantly, she is a product of the University of Connecticut. UConn is not just a college basketball program. It is an institution, a dynasty with its own powerful media ecosystem, and a legacy that carries immense weight within the insular world of women's basketball. The UConn Mafia, the network of alumni, coaches, and media personalities, is a formidable force in shaping narratives and anointing successors to the throne of women's basketball royalty. Bueckers arrived as the heir apparent to that legacy, granting her an instant credibility and platform within the establishment that a player from Iowa, like Clark, simply did not have. Second, Bueckers is openly gay. In an era where corporate social responsibility and environmental, social, and governance (ESG) metrics are paramount, authentic LGBTQ+ representation is a valuable commodity for brands seeking to align themselves with progressive values. A partnership with Bueckers is not just a sports marketing play, it is a statement of corporate allyship. Third, her high-profile relationship with former UConn teammate Ozzie Fudd adds another layer. It is an interracial, same-sex partnership, a combination that represents a potent symbol of modern intersectionality. For brands, this isn't merely a personal detail, It's a multifaceted narrative asset. None of these attributes are inherently negative. They are parts of Bueckers' identity and her truth. The problem arises not from who she is, but from the suspicion that these factors are being prioritized over demonstrable market performance in corporate decision-making. When a LEGO deal is announced with fanfare about unprecedented impact, while the players' team draws 7,000 fans a game, it begs the question, is this an investment in a marketable athlete, or is it an investment in a symbol? The critics' argument is that LEGO is buying a values-aligned avatar, not a proven sales driver. They are making a political and social statement with marketing dollars, a perfectly legitimate corporate choice, but one that should be recognized for what it is, rather than disguised as a triumph of sports marketing. The launch of the Unrivaled League in January 2025 provided a perfect, real-time experiment to test these theories of market demand. Conceived as a domestic off-season alternative to the grind of overseas play, Unrivaled promised higher salaries and equity stakes for its 30...
Okay, let's just do it. Here we go. Here we go, right here. Paige Bueckers signs a deal with LEGO as she prepares to be the next Nike signature athlete. So here we go, right here. And then there... Okay, hey, why that gotta be Iowa Hawkeye colors? Oh, did I say that out loud? Why is that Iowa Hawkeye colors? Just wondering. I said right there, LEGO may as well take that money and just burned it. Let's look at this, folks. Dallas Wing attendance, 7,273
players. It was a noble and exciting venture for the women's game. Yet, its player roster became a telling Rorschach test. The league featured Paige Bueckers. It did not feature Aja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Sophie Cunningham, Angel Reese, or, most conspicuously, Caitlin Clark. Here was a new product needing to generate buzz, attract sponsors, and secure media deals. It had one player who was the subject of unprecedented impact headlines. It lacked the one player who had repeatedly proven her ability to single-handedly dominate sports headlines and move television ratings. The result was predictable. 2 days before its launch, the social media buzz around Unrivaled was confined to hardcore WNBA circles. Mainstream sports media coverage was muted. There was no national conversation. The contrast was glaring. If Caitlin Clark had announced her participation, it would have been the lead story on SportsCenter and across digital platforms for a week. Her absence was a deafening silence that spoke volumes about where genuine, broad market interest truly resided. Unrivaled, with Bueckers as a centerpiece, was a league for existing women's basketball fans. With Clark, it could have been a league that created new ones. This wasn't a commentary on Bueckers' talent, but a brutal assessment of her current market power versus Clark's transformative draw. To understand why the manufactured push for Bueckers feels so dissonant, one must fully appreciate the organic, market-made phenomenon of Caitlin Clark. Her stardom was not crafted in a boardroom or anointed by a collegiate dynasty. It was forged in the crucible of record-breaking performance and a visceral, authentic connection with a massive audience. Clark's appeal is rooted in a timeless sports archetype: the audacious, charismatic gunslinger, her logo three-pointers, her no-look passes, her sheer scoring veracity tapped into something fundamental. She played with a joy and a
0.14 million viewers, indicating strong local and regional interest. Strong local and regional interest. By the way, I talk about agenda. There's your agenda. Paige Bueckers. Guess what? She checks the LGBTQ elemental P box. LGBTQ. Who cares? You know what? The Alphabet Mafia box. Along with the Connecticut, the University of Connecticut.
Competitive fury that was instantly transmissible. At Iowa, she didn't just break the NCAA scoring record. She dragged her team to back-to-back national championship games, turning each contest into a must-see event. The 2024 title game drew 18.7 million viewers, surpassing every NBA and men's college game that year. This wasn't a marketed audience, it was a captivated one. Crucially, Clark's marketability emerged from this performance. Nike, State Farm, and Gatorade weren't betting on a narrative or a set of demographic checkboxes. They were betting on a proven audience magnet. Her From Anywhere campaign worked because it was a direct extension of her on-court identity, the limitless range, the relentless work ethic. Her appeal was, and is, refreshingly straightforward. She is spectacular at basketball, and people love watching her be spectacular. In a media landscape obsessed with deconstruction and meta-narratives, Clark's success is almost jarringly simple. It is a throwback to a time when stars were built on highlights and wins, a reminder that the most powerful marketing tool in sports remains transcendent talent combined with magnetic personality. The push to position Paige Bueckers is not an isolated incident. It is part of a long-standing pattern within the WNBA, a star manufacturing complex that has often prioritized the right kind of star over the most popular one. For years, the league invested heavily in promoting players like Brittany Griner and Elena Del Don. While both are phenomenal talents and Hall of Famers, their mainstream crossover appeal always had limits. Griner's game, centered on dominant interior play, was less highlight-friendly for casual fans. Del Don, immensely skilled, possessed a more reserved personality. The league's marketing machinery worked overtime to position them as faces of the sport, but the broader public's engagement remained tepid. The investment was based on basketball merit and, in Del Don's case, a compelling personal story, but it often seemed out of sync with what actually moved the needle with casual audiences. This history reveals an institutional instinct, a desire to control the narrative, to present the league on its own terms, through players who embody certain values of teamwork, humility, and a specific kind of professionalism. Caitlin Clark, with her audacious shot selection, her emotional flair, and her immediate commercial supernova status, exploded that controlled environment. She was not a product of the WNBA system. She was an exogenous force that rewired its circuitry. Her success was an implicit critique of the old model, proving that the market would respond explosively if given the right product, even if that product didn't fit the traditional mold. The Bueckers push, then, can be seen as an attempt by elements of the establishment to reassert control. Here was a player who checked all the traditional boxes. Pedigree.
I think her name's Azzy Fudd. Oh, she's interracial on top of it. Oh, the wokes just literally exploded. Again, folks, the agenda is thick in this league. And I don't know how the hell Caitlin Clark is going to be able to dodge that agenda. Because, I mean, the agenda oozes out in the play with running clotheslines and bionic elbows.
UConn, fundamental excellence, a team, first style, and the new era boxes of identity and representation. She was, in theory, the perfect hybrid, a player who could be marketed to both the traditional basketball purist and the modern, values-conscious corporate sponsor. The only box she didn't yet check was proven national ratings and attendance driver, but the narrative machinery was being engaged to bridge that gap before the market data could conclusively prove it was a chasm. This brings us to the core, unavoidable conflict. Two models are now operating in parallel, creating a schizophrenic reality for the league and its fans. The market-driven model. Clark. This model is bottom-up. It is chaotic, unpredictable, and ruthlessly efficient. The star emerges through undeniable performance and fan adoration. Corporate deals follow as validation of an existing market reality. The sequence is performance, fan connection, market frenzy, corporate investment. Success is measured in tickets sold, ratings achieved, and merchandise moved. It is the model of Jordan, Curry, and now Clark. The agenda-driven or narrative-driven model. Bueckers. This model is often top-down. It is curated, intentional, and focused on symbolism. The player is identified as representing important values or narratives: dynastic legacy, LGBTQ+ representation, intersectionality. Corporate and institutional resources are deployed to create a market presence, with the hope that the narrative will eventually generate its own commercial gravity. The sequence is identity, profile, institutional anointment, corporate partnership, narrative, push, hoped for market adoption. Success is initially measured in press releases, brand alignment, and social currency within specific communities. The clash is inevitable because the first model exposes the artifice of the second. When Clark draws 20,000 fans and Bueckers draws 7,000, but both are discussed in similarly glowing face of the league terms by different media factions, it creates cognitive dissonance. When Clark's $50M endorsement ecosystem is called expected, but Bueckers' Lego deal is unprecedented, it feels like a rejection of objective reality. The danger for the WNBA is that by entertaining this dual reality, it risks alienating the very mainstream audience Clark has attracted. These new fans, who respond to clear excellence and excitement, can smell inauthenticity. They see the hard fouls on Clark, the reluctant officiating, and now the narrative overreach on behalf of other players, and they question the league's motives. Their conclusion that the league is hostile to its own golden goose may be reductive, but it is a perception born from observable contradictions. The solution for the WNBA is not to choose between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. That is a false dichotomy. The solution is to understand and embrace the different types of value each represents, while being ruthlessly honest about their current market positions. Paige Bueckers is a tremendous basketball talent, with the potential to be a franchise cornerstone and a beloved player for the core WNBA fanbase. Her corporate partnerships, while perhaps currently overhyped, are positive for the league in that they expand the pool of brands.
I saw this headline. Unprecedented off-court impact, and I was like, the fudge is that? Nah. They're trying to blow that smoke up your ass. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Look, she's got Unrivaled to her whole self. No Asia, no Sabrina, no Sophie, no Angel, and most notably, no Caitlin Clark, no Nafisa.
Investing in women's basketball, there is room for multiple players to have endorsement deals. The problem arises only when her commercial appeal is inflated rhetorically to rival Clark's, creating a narrative that insults the intelligence of the market. Caitlin Clark is a generational, market-moving phenomenon. Her value is not just to her team, but to the entire league's bottom line, its TV negotiations, its sponsorship valuations, its overall cultural footprint. Her success should be the rising tide that lifts all boats, including Bueckers's. The league's leadership must perform a delicate but essential balancing act. Celebrate Clark unapologetically. She is the engine of growth. Market her as such. Optimize the schedule, protect her on the court, and leverage her stardom to boost every other team she plays against. There is no fairness in hiding your best product. Develop Bueckers authentically. Allow her stardom to grow organically from her play in Dallas. Celebrate her skill, her story, and her representation without forcing comparisons or making claims that the data cannot support. Let her find her own market level. Reject false equivalencies. Have the courage to let the market speak. Acknowledge that drawing 20,000 fans is different from drawing 7,000. That moving ratings by 46% is a unique skill. This isn't favoritism. It's respect for the audience's demonstrated preferences. Understand corporate motivations. Recognize that a Lego deal and a Nike lifetime deal are different kinds of investments. One may be about brand values and long-term alignment with a specific demographic. The other is about moving massive product volume globally. Both can coexist, but they are not the same. The great fear is that the agenda-driven push, if overplayed, will backfire spectacularly. It could place an unfair burden on Paige Bueckers, setting expectations she cannot commercially meet, leading to a narrative of failure. It could further alienate Clark's massive fan base, who feel their heroine is being undermined, and it could ultimately disillusion corporate partners if the promised impact doesn't materialize in tangible returns. In the end, the market is the ultimate arbitrator. It is merciless and efficient. You cannot long-term convince people to care about something they fundamentally don't. You can, however, showcase greatness and let them decide. Caitlin Clark's legacy will be written in sold-out arenas, record contracts, and a changed financial landscape for women's sports. Paige Bueckers' legacy will be written on the court, in wins, championships, and her own authentic connection with her fans. The former is a phenomenon. The latter is a potential great. The WNBA's health depends on understanding the difference, nurturing both, and never confusing the powerful, beautiful narrative of identity with the raw, unstoppable power of a market that has finally found a star it has been waiting for. The league's future depends not on choosing one path, but on having the wisdom to know which path is which.